Hello and welcome to episode 99 of Stitched in Sweden. My name's Maria and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Stitched in Sweden. Today's episode is a little bit different than regular episodes because this time I am going to tell you all about my knitting plans for 2024. Which also means that this episode will be coming out very shortly after episode 97 because I'm recording on the same day. So you will have seen, if you watched episode 97, that I recently finished my Cozy Classic Raglan Light, which is kind of a bright peachy neon orange pink sweater. And that I am currently working on my Aspen cardigan. The Aspen cardigan is one that I've been working on for a while that was put on hold while I was really nauseous in my first 1.5 trimesters of this pregnancy. It's a heavily cabled cardigan that is usually about knee length, but I have shortened it to be regular hip length. So that is kind of just the two sort of most recent projects that I've been working on in terms of sweaters. And why I'm telling you about that is because those are the two sweaters that I had on the needles at the end of 2023. And one of my things that I like to do at the beginning of the new year is kind of go through projects that I'm working on, think about like what sort of changes that I want to make in the upcoming year in my making. And I keep this notebook here where I write down every single project that I finish and the date and who it's for. And I also make some other notes like lists of projects that I'm interested in doing in the near future, or just some ideas for pairings of fabric and patterns or yarns and patterns. So this is something I started in January 2022. And I wrote down every single project. At the end of 2022, I had made, let's see where my summary page is. I made 174 projects in 2022. That's a lot. So in January 2023, I wrote this little paragraph to myself, which is sort of a resolution, I guess you could say. And I said, the goal this year is to make less, to make useful and meaningful items that fulfill a purpose. Purpose might look like adding beauty, warmth, or clothing to fill a gap. 2022 became too much of a production year, and I would like 2023 to focus on family more and building a cozy home for us back in Sweden, since we moved to Sweden this year. That doesn't mean removing making from my life, but not buying fabric just for the sake of it, or saying yes to projects just because it's free fabric. But meaningful and useful, to build a meaningful and useful stash before we move and work from that as much as possible. So that was kind of my goal for 2023. Now in 2023, which we just finished, I made 110 projects in total. That was less, but it's still a lot and still maybe too many. 2022, just to say like what some of those projects were, like I write down every single thing. So even like okay, in 2022 I was still making face masks. So a face mask counted as a finished project, just as like this full knitted sweater counted as a finished project. So each one of those got their own tally in the total. Yeah, so this is just a way for me to kind of both look back and think, like, when did I make that? Or how long did this item of clothing last? Or what size did I make that XYZ in? Especially like if I'm making something for my girls and then want to make the next size up, then I can look back at that and have a quick reference. So it's useful in that way because it combines both knitting and sewing projects. So in 2023, for example, I made 24 knitted projects, and 6 of those were my Blossom of Snow sweater pattern, samples of that. I also made the Blossom of Snow mittens pattern, was released last year. And I made a few sweaters for me, but a lot of them were items for other people. I made socks for my sister. I made mittens for one of Eloise's teachers. Actually, I made mittens for 3 of her teachers, but 2 of them were in 2022. I made some little preemie hats from my friend who had a baby born early, a shawl for my mom, let's see, birthday socks for my mom, and then I made 4 pairs of socks for other people who were involved in helping make my sock knitting machine. So yeah, it goes on a little bit, but in the end I made this sweater for myself and 1 or 2 other sweaters. And I made a lot of the Blossom of Snow sweaters because that was my pattern, and I ended up making them for all the cousins, and I made 2 versions for Eloise because one of them was too tickly for her, etc. So kind of reflecting back on 2023 and 2022, thinking, what do I want to change for 2024 moving forward? I haven't written out kind of a resolution yet in regards to my making, but I've thought about it a little bit, and I think what I want to kind of go, I do want to kind of continue with what my plans were for 2023, in that I want things to be kind of purposeful and thoughtful, and where possible to add like a little extra embroidered detail or slowing down a little bit to just finish things off in a really nice way rather than like production. 2022, I will say, had like some extreme production mode because for 2 of my friends I made them a lot of baby clothes. So that's where some of those numbers really racked up. But it's not really about the total number, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of like where I'm starting from and why I want to move back in making less things. Now that being said, I have a hefty list for 2024 in terms of things that I'm hoping to knit this year. One of the reasons that I made this list though, and why I think it still kind of aligns with my goal, is that this list has projects where I have identified a pattern that I want to use and the specific yarn that I have for that. Most of this yarn is coming from yarn that I already had in my stash. Some of it has been purchased recently, or some of it has been purchased as like a addition to match a yarn that was already in my stash, etc. So I like making this list. This is the first time I'm making a specific to knit list kind of for a year, but I liked making this list. I have liked it so far because I've really been thinking like, oh, that yarn in my stash, oh, that would, like rediscovering yarn that I have and thinking about how I want to pair it with a pattern. Because a lot of times I do buy yarn without a particular pattern in mind. So anyway, it would be really nice to knit through some of these sweater quantities mostly that I have and make some really beautiful sweaters. So some things that I'm thinking about 2024 specifically is making sweaters that are, I'm gonna say sweaters, but it includes a few other garments, not garments, well, a few other knitted items as well. But I'll probably just keep saying sweaters because, I don't know, it's mostly sweaters. I want to make items that are in colors that will work well in my everyday life. Even though I really like bright yarns or stripy color work patterns and stuff like that, and I do wear my sweaters that are like that, there's still something really nice about having solid basics that are simple shapes, that are things that I reach to throw on every day. So kind of thinking about a color palette that is kind of calmer, neutral, looks more like items that, I don't really like to say that it looks more like items that are store-bought or that you would buy. Yeah, because I like handmade things and I like the look of handmade things, but I think sometimes you can tend to get a little bit carried away with like some really bright yarn, or I don't know. I just know that myself, I do tend to wear items more often that are in a calmer color, solid color, or simple stripes. Yeah, some kind of variations of that. So let's just get right into it and I'll share with you my plans for my 2024 knits. And first, I'll just tell you what I'm wearing because otherwise that might be distracting the whole time. This needs to be reblocked a little bit to give a little bit more space up here because it tends to kind of go like this. I'm not exactly sure why that is. This is the camel sweater, I think it's called, which is a pullover by Petite Knit. And I knit this using Blue Sky Fibers wool stock, which is their worsted weight 100% Highland, Peruvian Highland wool. And I knit this, I think I knit this in the beginning of 2023 or in the end of 2022. I could look on my list, but and then I didn't wear it because it was the wrong, I knit it in the wrong season. And then this year, when it was gonna be the first time that I could wear it in the cold season, I couldn't wear it because it was too choky for my early pregnancy life where anything touching my neck was extremely nauseating. But now I can wear it. So, but I'm realizing that it needs to be reblocked a little bit so that this part fits a little bit better, but it's still definitely gonna be wearable. So 2024, I already finished my Cozy Classic Raglan light version in a Pinch, which is peachy, orangey, neon color. Really love that sweater. It reminds me how much I love a fingering weight sweater. So I might need to add one extra of those to my list for this year, but I don't have the yarn for that right now, so I'm not gonna add it. The Aspen cardigan is going to be finished any minute. That is my creamy cabled cardigan that I know is going to be a staple and I'm going to wear it all the time. Okay, so I'll just show you one of the things. So when I was making this list, I started by just writing down a few patterns that I was excited about, interested in knitting, had the pattern for already. And then I got out my yarn boxes, which are stored in big plastic tubs, and started going through and kind of sorting and arranging. So here is my tub for 2024. And this is, I would say, 90% of the yarn that I'm gonna need for the projects on this list. So let's just jump right in. These are not gonna be in a particular order at this point because I'm not sure what I'm gonna cast on next. I'm going to see how I feel at the end of the Aspen cardigan, but yeah, that's kind of the fun part too, that I can just pick what is next from this box of yarn that's like really inspiring to me right now. And it's fun to kind of see everything all together too, to get this, not that I have to have a palette or like a feeling of a certain mood of color or something, but I do like seeing everything together and imagining them as a nice stack of finished knits at some point. Excuse me. Okay, at some point in 2025, the beginning of 2025. Okay, so let's start with the porcelain sweater. The porcelain sweater is a pattern by Les Knit, and this is a pullover that is, I think, knit with a DK weight yarn, and I'm going to use Tyn Peer Gynt, which is by Sandnes Garn. I have the, I think it's called a few different things online, but it's color number 2641, and it's kind of like natural, I think in Swedish it was like natural beige melange, is that how you say that? This color. I have 5 balls of this Peer Gynt, this thin Peer Gynt, and that's a fingering weight yarn that I'm going to pair with this Drops Kid Silk. In this color is number 56. It's a nice kind of warm sandy color. It's a little bit warmer than this, but I think it's going to give a nice effect. I also have 5 of these, and the contrast color for the color work will be this, also, I can't think of the English word, melange brown. And this is color 2652, and I'm going to pair that with this dark brown, also Drops, color number 15. So this will be really nice, I think. That is going to be for the porcelain sweater. Then we have the Friday Slipover V-neck. This isn't 100% decided, but this is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I have a vest that actually my friend knit for herself, and then she decided it just wasn't for her, and I thought, I don't know if that's for me, but I've actually worn it a ton this winter. It's a mohair vest, knit in a fingering weight and a mohair, and that one has buttons down the front. I often wear the buttons closed. It's kind of a deep V. I wear it all the time over kind of mock turtleneck shirts, and I have just found it to be like a really nice thing to put on. So I thought maybe making another sweater sweater vest could be a good idea, especially because I have 2 skeins of this Spun Right Round. This is the same classic sock yarn that I used for my Cozy Classic Raglan, the light version. This is the color Rust. So I thought that because I only have 2, and usually I need 2.5 or so skeins of fingering weight for a sweater like the Cozy Classic Raglan for me, I thought 2 would be perfect for a vest. So I'm leaning towards the Friday Slipover by Petite Knit, which I would knit using this yarn paired with this Bernice, which is a wool, mohair, and silk blend from Delirium Natura. 55% kid, super kid mohair, 25% silk, and 20% wool. This is, I think, their newest or it's a very recent yarn that they have come out with. I haven't knit with this before, but I really do like knitting with their with their Ulysse and Gilet. French. Studied it for a long time, but can't pronounce it for the life of me. So, slip over, possibly. But maybe also just knitting the exact same vest that my friend knit that I already wear a lot, because it would be a totally different color. The one I have is a really light blue, bluish gray. So yeah, that one is a little bit TBD, but probably leaning towards the Friday slipover. Okay, then let's see. I have a few gift knits in this box, but one of the other focuses for 2024 for me is going to be saying no to more things, and that's even saying no to myself. I do a lot of gift knitting, I do a lot of gift making, and it's something that I really enjoy. I also find that sometimes I feel obligated to make gifts for people, and then I get to a point that I'm like, I have all these things, all these sweaters that I wanted to make for myself, and then I haven't had the chance to make them because I'm making things for other people, which is lovely, but also sometimes, yeah, I just need to be able to say no sometimes. Not that anybody is forcing me to make them stuff or anything, but I just put it on myself. So part of 2024 will be focusing on things to make for myself, which is why a lot of this list is things for me. A few things are gift knits, so I'll show you those now. I will be making the Eira hat, E-I-R-A hat, which is a pattern in the Urban Knits Easy book that I just shared in my last episode. This is the pattern. And I knit this for myself here. There's more info in episode 97. I'm going to be knitting that again for somebody in these two yarns from Delirium Natura. I'm also going to be knitting that for Thomas, my husband, in Sunday from Sunnes Garn. This is color 8082, and it's a nice forest green color. I don't have the mohair to pair with this yet, so that is something that I will be adding to this box in the near future. And then the other gift knit that I have planned is going to be the, what's it called? Lace leaf pullover. I have 5 skeins of this beautiful olive green color. This is Quince & Co. Turn, and it is their wool and silk blend. So it's 75% American wool and 25% silk. So my plan with this is the lace leaf pullover. I'm going to try and adapt this pattern to be knit from the top down. It is knit from the bottom up in the pattern. The reason I would like to knit it from the top down is because I want to be able to adjust the sleeve length after I've knit the body. My plan is to knit the entire yoke and body of the sweater, see how much yarn I have left. I will either make it a short sleeved pullover or 3/4 length sleeve is my thought. Since it has a silk content in it, I think it will be a little bit towards a warmer weather knit, like early fall, kind of late summer knit, which is why I think it could be nice with 3/4 sleeves, but I think short sleeves would also work. I don't think that I will have enough to make long sleeves because this person I'll need to make 1 or 2 sizes larger than I would make for myself, and for myself this would be just enough to make a long sleeve, quite fitted pullover. So those are my thoughts on that. A little bit vague on purpose. Okay, so let's see. Another pattern that I've been wanting to knit for a long time is the Poet Socks by Sari Nordlund, and I have this yarn from Stress Knits. It is in her favorite base, which is a 80-20% superwash merino and nylon. This is the sunflower color, and I think that the Poet Socks will be beautiful in this. So that will be maybe an in-between sweaters project at some point. I have my sock needles for that right next to it because those sock needles don't really have a home because I otherwise almost exclusively use my interchangeable set, but for socks I have this one pair that I use. Okay, then we have the Pahola pullover by Sari Nordlund, and I don't know how to pronounce that. It recently came out as an English pattern. Before, I think it was only available in Finnish, and now it's in English as well, so I'm really excited for that because this is a color work fingering weight sweater. I think this is going to be really nice. I got some beautiful yarn from one of my friends for Christmas, which is this Fru Fjellman soft peach merino sock, 75% merino, 25% nylon. Beautiful color. And I have 2 skeins worth, although it's a little bit in pieces because it was something else before, of Stress Knits favorite 80-20 in Palm Lines, which is this lighter, just barely there pink. And I have Glow, which is from the mini advent calendar at least 2 years ago. I want to say 2020, maybe even, that I also had from Stress Knits when I got like 7 or 8 skeins in a mini advent option that she had. And this is Glow. So I think these 3 will be really nice in that pullover. This soft peach color will be the main color for the upper yoke, and then the body will be in this color, although both of these colors are also incorporated into the yoke. So that one will also be really nice, I think. Let's just consult my list here. Okay. Now originally I had another pattern by Sari Nordlund, which is the Poetra pullover. It's similar to the Poet Socks. Beautiful pullover. I have that pattern and I do want to knit that at some point. But actually I think that this yarn will be used to make the Cardi jumper. And I saw a version of this from those twins who knit, one of them, on their Instagram, made a beautiful version of this pullover, this cardigan, I mean, which is an interesting pattern because it's written to be reversible. So you can wear it both with the buttons in the front or the buttons down the back. It's a V-neck cardigan. I think there's also 2 versions of the cardigan within the same pattern. There's one that has like a delicate I-cord bind off or edging around, which is what I'm planning to do, and then there's one with more of a band. And I think the one with the I-cord is paired with mohair, and the one with the band maybe is just a fingering weight on its own. So my plan is to do the one with the I-cord edging, and I'm going to use Sandnes Garn Sunday, which is a fingering weight, and this is the white color 1001, and I'm planning to pair that with this Durerum Natura Bernice, which we talked about the content before, and this is color Orgeat, O-R-G-E-A-T, which is a very nice creamy white. So I have the yarn for that, and then with that cardigan, I'm planning to use round pearl buttons because that's what the one that I saw had and just looked really beautiful. Now I'm starting to get into the zone where I don't have all of the pieces of the yarn for these sweaters, but I'll still tell you them because they're on my list. The Fleuriste cardigan by Sari Nordlund is a lace detailed yoke area. It's not actually a yoked sweater. I'm pretty sure it has a drop sleeve, but it has like a nice lace detail here on the front. I'm planning on knitting that in the Pearl Soho good wool in a light gray color that's very similar to this that my parents will be bringing with them, hopefully, when they come to visit in just a few days. And then I'm thinking for that one, I have some little gold buttons in my button stash that I clipped off a ready-to-wear shirt, I think it was, when the shirt was kind of destroyed, but I thought I would save the buttons, and I think those could be really pretty on that, so I think those might pair well. And I have this yarn, which came from a beautiful sweater, but it was too small. And this is John Arbon Knit by Numbers DK, which I don't think you can get anymore actually in the 100% merino blend, or 100% merino that they used to have. I think now it's only a blend with BFL maybe? I'm not sure. I need to separate this from the mohair, so that might be a nightmare. But for this, I want to knit the Crystal Pullover, which is a pattern from Isager, and I'm going to do that as a knit along with a friend of mine, so I think that will be really fun. But it's going to take a little while to get started on that just because I have a lot of separating to do, which is not going to be fun or easy. I also have this sweater, which is a start of a design that I made at one point that's not going to become anything. This is Durerum Natura Ulysse, and I'm going to unwind this and use this yarn paired with a mohair, which might be this mohair or it might be a different one, because I'm not sure if this is the right color, to make the sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things Knitwear at a slightly lighter gauge than the original pattern. So that will require some swatching, which I always swatch for garments, but it will require some swatching and adjusting or thinking about what size I'm going to knit to achieve the size that I need, because I'll have a smaller gauge than the pattern. Okay, I think there's two more and that's it. I have this beautiful yarn from Hey Sister Yarn Co. that I just bought in kind of a de-stash from a friend of mine because she thought, this is your color, Maria, you need to have it. It can't sit in my stash. This is Hey Baby from Hey Sister Yarn Co. And I'm still not sure exactly what sweater I'm going to knit with that. After finishing the Cozy Classic Light, I'm inclined to knit another fingering weight sweater. I might knit another of the Cardi jumper, but in like with just the fingering weight, if that turns out nice. because I was thinking of sort of a V-neck cardigan for this. Alternatively, if I buy a mohair to pair with this, I might make the balloon sweater from Petite Knit. But that one is still very much up in the air. And then last but not least, which is one that I don't have the yarn for at the moment, is the Sunday pullover. This is a raglan pullover that I'm going to knit using Tin Pergint in a very light gray color with black stripes, and both of those will be paired with mohair, or yeah, something fuzzy like that. So those are kind of my knitting plans for 2024. We'll see how I progress with them. You'll see my updates throughout the year in my podcasts. But I'm excited to start the year out with this list of plans that I'm really excited about and have most of the yarn for here in my stash, so that I can really jump in with any of those projects when I feel like it. But first is going to be finishing this mammoth of a project that I'm so excited to have in my closet. And yeah, that's it. So I'll talk to you next time.